Hello, beautiful souls. This is Diane Lang from Wisdom of the Akashics. Thank you very much for coming to the YouTube video today. Thank you for your likes, your comments. If you'd like to be notified of more videos, subscribe. You'll also get notified of some upcoming live YouTubes where you can actually ask me questions live. And I'll just probably pop out a quick video and say that it's happening. I'm hoping to do 2 a week. I'm traveling next week though, so I'm kind of putting it off till the following week so I can get settled in and make sure all of everything's working. And I had a month or 5 or 6 weeks of pure technology challenges, including a complete computer crash and all sorts of stuff. So we're just kind of revving back up with some of that, and it put us a little bit behind in terms of some of the goals I had set for 2017. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is when you actually look at something that you want to have come to fruition in your life, there's a lot of lack of clarity on what that might be. A lot of people are looking for something in a period of time that's not reasonable to where they're at. It never means that it's not achievable. It means that if you don't even have a business yet, but you want to make $50,000 a month in one, then that would be something you'd really have to scale back, because if you haven't made 500, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment and failure in terms of potentially making 5,000, 10,000 or more. And that's just an example. What I'm trying to get through here is that our goals come to us when we particularly find we can measure them. So it's nice to say, what is it that you are wanting to see in the next year, and so, or where do you want to be in 5 years? I remember years ago when I was working for other companies versus working for myself, and you'd go into an interview and they'd say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I always thought, like, what crazy question. Well, I never actually had a really easy time answering it, let's put it that way, because I wasn't sure I was going to like this company 5 years from now. I wasn't sure if they were going to offer me growth and expansion while I was in this company. I wasn't sure if there was going to be something that was going to come along. So I always felt like you had to kind of sugarcoat your answers to tell them what they wanted to hear, because I never actually saw it as a reasonable question. There's nothing wrong with having a long-term outlook, but you can't measure a 5-year goal. You can measure a 60-day, a 90-day, a 120-day goal. You can measure where you want to have say, for example, I want to lose, and you might say, I want to lose 30 pounds this year. Well, if you look at doing that in a healthy manner, then you would break that down to, I want a consistent weight loss of, say, 3 to 5 pounds a month that you maintain that. So in 6 months, you've seen a 30-pound weight loss. It's hard to measure. If you put it out, I want to lose 30 pounds in a month, that's possible. It takes a tremendous amount of commitment, a complete change in diet. It's often not healthy depending on how much weight that actually is on a body. If 30 pounds is on a body that's 50 or 60 pounds overweight, it's a little bit different. But if a body is 15 or 20 pounds overweight and you want to lose that all in 1 month, that can actually send your body into some shock. People don't understand when they starve themselves. We actually have a survival mechanism that kicks in that stores fat, and people will say, I'm not even hardly eating and I can't lose any weight. It kind of goes back to, you may have a goal, but it's not based on setting it up, kind of reverse engineering it and going, okay, I want to be 30 pounds lighter by June, and then reverse engineer that back to, I want to lose 3 to 5 pounds a month over the next few months, and then setting realistic things that you can do that are going to help you do that. So if you know that you, for example, eat every weekend, you just go into some sort of hoard, where you just eat all sorts of things on the weekend and you don't actually eat too bad during the week. So the first thing we'd look at is where does the habit that we want to break first meant to start? And I would say it's going to start on the weekend. If you eat all of your fats and your sugars and all of that because you're just like, oh, I'm off work, I'm just going to eat all weekend. Well, you probably put on 2 pounds on a weekend, and then you might lose them back over the week. But at the end of the day, you're not changing anything. You haven't tipped the scales, so to speak. And so it's the same. It doesn't matter if it's in relationships. It doesn't matter if it's in our health, in our bank accounts. I really like to get people to look within. You hear me guys say this so very often. We have to look in the mirror when we want to make a change. I can tell you from a lifetime of learning from experience, being conscious enough to recognize, that's an outcome I didn't like. So then I need to change something I did versus something somebody else around me is doing. Because for me, if you want other people to change so that your experience changes, you're actually perpetuating a program of disappointment. And it actually isn't up to other people to change to affect our experience. And for example, I'm just hearing something like, a couple wants to, one person wants to quit smoking and the other person doesn't want to quit smoking, but they say, well, you have to quit smoking with me so I can quit. Well, you know what? That person might not be ready. And then you're actually putting the pressure and the outcome on somebody else doing something that you yourself are telling you want to do. If you're going to benefit from quitting smoking, it may help for them to say smoke outside instead of in the house. You can ask them to not smoke in the car anymore. You can ask them to minimize the smoking around you. You can ask them to keep it from you in a way to assist you. But if it's your goal, your desire, it's your body's health that you want to improve, and that person just isn't ready to be on board, and then we pass it off and say, well, I tried to quit smoking, but I couldn't get, my spouse to quit with me, and I never lasted. That's not up to your spouse. That's up to yourself. I'm always telling people to reflect back within. What is it that you desire to be different? And then what do you need to do differently that's actually going to assist reaching that goal? And so I really teach people to work in measurable increments. So if somebody comes to work with me and we're going to go do something for read some Akashic records, we're going to coach, we're going to do some twin flame coaching, we're going to do it. I say, where are you today? Let's see what patterns are showing up. What is it that's causing the most misery? Where do you feel the worst? What is it you want to change? And really people change the most when they empower themselves to make changes, and they empower themselves to accept responsibility for the decisions that are going on. So whether, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's in your bank account, it doesn't matter if it's in a twin experience, it doesn't matter if it's a relationship that you've been wanting to leave for a long time, that's empty, that's unloving, that's not nurturing, and you keep waiting for them to change instead of standing up for what you believe in, or maybe you need to work on self-worth to know that I am worth a relationship that is loving and supportive and nurturing and balanced, and maybe has boundaries of drug and alcohol use and stuff like that. I just have so many people when they sometimes will send me notes, or they'll reach out to me and send me, I get most of my messages privately, to be honest with you. They'll Facebook me privately or send me an email and send me all sorts of stuff and say this and this and this and this and this is happening. And sometimes they're not even mentioning themselves and what's happening. And so, I can tell you that where you want to start is you want to look at the person in the mirror. Who you want to love first is the person in the mirror. When we actually love ourselves and we actually find that truly place inside of ourselves, we accept ourselves as we are, we accept our shadow side, we accept our bad days, But we know from the goodness of our heart on a day-to-day basis that we make our decisions through kindness. We make our decisions through wanting good for ourselves and for our families and for our kids. We're not putting blame and on everybody around us. We're not waiting for the parents to change, the families to change, the spouse to change, the kids to change. People, for one, will follow the leader. And if you want change to take place inside your structure, you need to make the change. If you've been feeling lonely in a relationship forever, it's not about the other person making you feel not lonely in that. It's because people can't make us feel lonely. They can do things whereby our reaction to that is loneliness. So if we're not loved and we're not nurtured, we feel lonely. But if we're trying to make them the bearer of all of that grief and all of that loneliness, for one, we don't typically get out of those relationships. And then when we do, they're train wrecks. Because it's really about self-love and self-worth. And if you start to love yourself and you start to do with your partner what you want them to be like with you, because I believe anything you expect from somebody, you should be able to offer them in return. And if you want that type of love and nurture and you do it and you don't get it back, well, now you have a measuring stick to know, because the measuring stick is, but I do bring this to my relationship. And I'm not talking about somebody who doesn't show you that they love you. I'm talking about where you literally know you are not in a relationship that is heart-based. You're in one that's ego-based, that's need-based. You're in a relationship with somebody that you've never been compatible with. You don't have anything in common. There's control issues. You don't get any freedom to be yourself. You know, there's so many different things, and I really hear a lot of them when people come and talk to me, or people just reach out to me. I'm just one of those people that a lot of people feel comfortable telling things to. And so I hear a lot of stuff from people, and and I'm empathetic towards it, but I do want you to know that the change that you want to make, the difference that you want to see in your life, becomes a difference that starts here. It starts with our actions, our words, our behaviors, our self-love, our boundaries, our openness. I said in one of my last videos that, so many people seek love, but they're scared to be vulnerable to actually be in the love. It's very hard to attract something that you're actually repelling at the same time. And the higher energy is what will prevail. That's the law of attraction. The energy that has the most impact in terms of and it can be completely unconscious. Men are always this, women are always this. If you think that, well, then it's really hard for somebody kind and loving it to come and show up and be there for us, because we're not even allowing them. We don't trust them. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust in ourselves to actually set the boundaries. We know that there's a lot of people, I know people that have never even not had a boyfriend or a relationship. They have no concept of what it's like to be alone or single, and it's no problem, but understand there's only so much self-awareness that you can have if you constantly set yourself up. The minute you become single, you got to go bring somebody in because you can't bear or stand to be alone. Nobody really likes to be alone, and certainly not every day, all day, unless they're really inherently, that's their makeup. I'm alone a lot because I live alone, and I'm choosing not to be in a relationship with anybody right now because of a relationship that's in my heart. I accept it. I'm at peace with it. I'm quite happy about it, actually, because I have such a healthy view of what I want love to look like to me now. And, if somebody comes into my life, and this happened to me recently, I just have to keep an eye on the clock. If somebody came into my life and I had all these open discussions with them, about being honest and monogamous relationships and, being upfront with each other and letting, knowing where we're at. So if there was a relationship that could form, that it had to start out slow, things like this. And then I run into them in Walmart one day and they have a partner. I was flabbergasted. I thought, how does somebody keep that from somebody who's had such open discussions with them? I immediately just lost everything I felt for that person, including respect, because I could picture the conversations that we had had where we talked about the honesty. The foundation of a relationship going forward requires honesty for me. They talked about it requires honesty for them. They're so straightforward that they made me almost not straightforward, because some of the stuff that he said was so straightforward, and how he handles life and how he feels about things. And then I walk into Walmart. I got to go to Walmart after all sorts of time hanging out and text, talking and having some open conversations that were leading to some discussions that I only have when I'm allowing somebody to come in on a bit more personal level. And then you find out they have a partner. Like, don't do that kind of stuff to a soul. I was honest that I could only offer so much if I was even going to look at a relationship right now. I start very slow in my life right now because I really have a set of guidelines that I want to see the healthiness in a relationship before I stamp my name to it. I've said this to people, and I've had some men that didn't take very well to it, but I said, I'm not coming off the market for somebody that I haven't decided I'm a good fit for. I don't have sexual partners. I'm not a multi-dater, but I'm not taking myself out of and signing the deal as to this is a relationship I'm really going to stamp. This is one that's going to become sexual and intimate. This is one that I'm going to have as a boyfriend. This is one I'm going to introduce my family to, when I haven't even decided if we're a good fit. For a long time, people said they didn't think I dated, and I said I date. I just don't introduce them to anybody until I feel like there's something there for us to do that. And I saw so many people have revolving people coming into their lives when I was younger, in my 30s and 40s, and saw a lot of people that were, doing a revolving door for men or women coming in out of their lives, and they had children. And I always had trouble with that, because I thought, you don't cycle somebody through your doorway when you have kids. That's my opinion. You can call it judgment. I'm completely fine with that. That's how I felt. I also saw the effect it had on the kids. I saw the effect that they were saying a mom's new boyfriend, or, they're men that were coming in and going and being called uncle, and they were there for a month, 2 months at a time. I mean, that doesn't even set a healthy boundary for what a true family relationship is. I'm called Auntie Diane to lots of people that I'm not actually a physical family blood auntie to, but I'm called that because I've been in their life since they were little. I've maintained a role of being impactful to them in a positive way. I've been in their life some 20, 30 years, these kids are now, and I'm not their aunt by blood, but I've been their aunt since they met me. But we didn't just throw it in as the mix as people came and went. It's because we honored what that meant to people. I saw a lot of revolving doors for men and women. Particularly, I found women did it a lot more, and I'm the type that I don't even introduce my friends to somebody until I feel strongly about them, let alone the children. That's just me. That's judgment, and I'm okay with it because the kids come to me about stuff like that. Kids say the craziest things when they feel comfortable, when they don't feel like they're going to be judged, when they have an opportunity to talk to somebody that they trust. I had a rule with my nieces and nephews when I was younger, that they could talk to me about anything in confidence, and I would keep their confidence absolutely, unquestionably, except under one exception. I had an exception. When they were 3 years old, they understood this exception. When they were 7 years old, we were discussing the exception. And the exception was, if I ever feel you're in danger, then there are no rules. I'm just going to do what I need to do, who I ever need to conclude, because I feel like you could be in danger. That was the rule. It wasn't about kissing the first boy. It wasn't about some little secret that they wanted you to know, or, I did this, I did that. Auntie Diane, I've had people say to me, I'm so glad the kids are close to you because we don't tell our parents everything. And they had someone they could come to that they trusted, and they still do today. And I'm extremely, extremely proud of that. I need to stop the video. This isn't specific to Twin Flames. It's just in terms of myself, how I teach, giving you guys some things to think about. But I'm really telling you, when you want change in your life, you got to go stand in the mirror and talk to that person. Okay, that's where the power is. That's where you're going to find the greatest growth and expansion. That's where you're actually going to start to see the change, because when you see it in yourself, you feel good. You're proud that you stood up for yourself. You feel empowered that you didn't stay through that relationship. You feel empowered that what you used to take a year to do is you were out of it in a way shorter time. You're proud that you have a boundary about behavior. And when you do that, it makes the law of attraction will start to shift, and the next person won't have to come and challenge us so much. And if they do, we'll do it the same again. But in very short order, you'll realize I don't even attract that kind of a man anymore. I don't even attract that kind of a woman anymore. I thought I actually had that one down. So this experience that happened to me before Christmas there over, kind of November, December, I was floored, and I was questioning, what did I do and how did I attract this again? Because that's the questions I ask myself. And somebody said to me sometimes, Diane, you just, people just aren't honest. Maybe he really liked you and he just wasn't willing to tell you. No, that's not acceptable to me. That relationship stopped that day. I've never communicated with them since, other than I did say, I sent off a note and say, seriously, you have a woman in your life? And I'm finding out in Walmart, sorry, I'm human. I wasn't happy about it. And I was just like, yeah, okay, I just need a reminder that that's actually, and it's interesting because I'd asked the question at the very beginning of the relationship. I said, because I had thought he was married, and I said, I thought you were married. And he said, oh, I haven't been married for, I don't know, 6-7 years or something like that. But I guess what I didn't ask, and a man pointed this out to me. He said, but you didn't ask him if he had anyone else in his life. I thought, wow, is that how clear we really have to get? Then after we have hours and hours of conversation, that never came up. Okay. So with that particular person, that's how honest, that's how clear you have to ask the questions. There's other men that would have said, no, I'm not married, but I have someone in my life presently. And you know what? It doesn't mean I wouldn't have stayed friends or comfortable with them, or I wouldn't have spoke to them, but I wouldn't have started to open the door and have them at my house and go visit them at their work and sit and talk to them and start to get personal. Those were because I was forming trust. Okay, but I'm not going to not trust the next person. I might ask 1 or 2 more extra questions. Do you have anyone in your life at all? Are you dating right now? Because that's the kind of thing that you need to ask. Okay? And if that's how clear you have to be, get that clear. And just decide after you get the answer. You can still pursue something, but just know that you did it totally consciously when you chose it at that point. So God bless, beautiful souls. Thank you. You can come to wisdomoftheakashics.com. There's some information about the programs that I offer there in the Akashic Records and Twin Flame Boot Camp. If you do book a free 30-minute session with me, you have to answer some questions. It helps me qualify who gets that time and if the program's a fit for you in advance and that I know something about you. So in the 30 minutes, you don't have to spend 10 minutes with me telling me that. We can go straight into the information. And please show up for your appointments. That's something that's happening right now, and it's a little bit disappointing because then I can't, once it's too late, it's too late. I can't give that appointment to someone else. So God bless you. Have a fabulous weekend, and go enjoy that person in the mirror. Even if you don't feel very good about yourself, know that this is where you start. You're a beautiful soul. If you need assistance, reach out to someone. It doesn't have to be me. There's amazing people on the earth right now that are helping people. Just follow your heart when you go to do that. So have a fabulous weekend. Diane Lang, Wisdom of the Akashics. Namaste.